optional for kids, for staff. We didn't really prepare them for online learning. We didn't prepare the kids for online learning. And so it just really didn't work out very well in March, April, and May, and then, right, those few days in June. I mean, as you probably heard, you know, we were giving credit, no credit. We didn't want kids, any of their grades to go down, you know, because they were online. Not everyone had their Chromebooks and things like that. How is this all going to play out? Teachers weren't on their Zoom or for us, Google Meets every day. So some kids were meeting every day with their teachers. Some kids weren't. I would say, you know, we probably had somewhere between 30 and 40% of our kids online on a regular basis, and from parents, families, and students, and not just in West Covina, but all over. The educational part didn't work very well. Parents weren't prepared to have their kids at home. Parents had when both of them worked, it was, how do we have our elementary school student at home online, and we can't bring them to school, right? Child care facilities were closing down, and even now, right, still child care facilities were, you know, the city and the state are struggling with in things. Participation wasn't very high, and we ended the school year sort of just like that, like, oh my goodness. The key is that we kept the kids safe. And that's what all that was about. So, you know, we were able to say, you know, the education probably wasn't that good, but health was the bigger priority, and we were able to do that. So then we have the summer, and for us, we were able to use that summer to be prepared. We had given kind of 3 choices. We could, you know, be back totally full in brick and mortar, and everyone could be back. And, you know, there was all those orders from the state, all right, 6 feet apart, everyone was going to wear masks, how to socially distance and things like that. There was a hybrid model that could have been a little bit of both. Certain kids were here some days, certain kids were online. And then there was that third choice of having kids totally be online. The issue has always been, and still is, right, is the uncertainty of what is this virus going to be like, and how do we keep everybody safe, kids, staff, you know, parents, families. So, you know, as we started this school year and during the summer, our staff was just getting ready. We knew that we knew how to do brick and mortar. So if kids were in school, we were going to be good with that. Any sort of a hybrid model or to be fully online, our teachers were going to have to be prepared to go, how do we teach kids online? So that's what we did. Over the summer, the district provided training for staff. We had schools provided our staff with time to be able to collaborate and get online lessons ready. It is just so different. I mean, we can even experience it here, right? Doing this in Zoom is so different than being together and sitting together and eating together and talking together and hearing things together. Except for us, you know, in doing this, we don't necessarily have to take notes and then take a test about it later, right? And so it's, how do you do videos? How do you do discussions? How do you do all of these things online that we want kids to be able to learn and understand? And so our staffs just did a yeoman's job of preparing and getting ready. Families did a great job of really kind of being prepared themselves and you know, telling students, hey, if this happens again next fall, you're going to be online and you're going to be ready. It's not this half, well, maybe if you want to, or maybe if you don't, and things. And really, I think kids were ready. Kids miss being at school. Kids miss seeing each other, right? They've been alone. They've been, you know, in their houses alone, and so on and so forth. And so when the fall started, it's been so much better. I mean, I know for myself, it's been beyond probably my wildest dreams. If we had 75% of the kids online that first day, I would have been so happy, going, wow. Anything over 50% would have been good. But we got tech out to people, to all of our secondary kids, our elementary kids that already had online capacity. Our district has been great. They've given out 500 hotspots to families that don't have internet and things like that. And so, I mean, from the first day, kids have been in class every day, every period. In secondary, we have kind of this, we have a block scheduling for 4 of the days, Monday, Tuesday, and Thursday, and Friday. So they have 90 minutes. You know, teachers are online at least half of that time, face-to-face with the kids, and maybe they give them an assignment and maybe monitor that and so on and so forth. But I mean, we've had over 90% attendance the whole time. I think I look at our attendance right now, and it's better than it used to be. And right, we would have the top attendance. I think our attendance is usually 98 to 99% every day. Wow. Who would have ever thought? But there's just been so many kind of like little things we wouldn't have expected. But even if kids aren't feeling well, they can just go online and they're still there, right? Because they can just sit in their rooms at home and be there. Right? Kids don't necessarily have to get as prepared for school every day and so on and so forth. And, you know, there's not as much, I mean, as I talk to teachers, there's not as much peer pressure, right? To get dressed up, how do you look? What is your friends doing? How are you doing it, right? You're just online yourself with the teachers and your classmates. And, so our tech has worked, the kids are online and so on and so forth. So there's been so many things that have worked in as well, right? We're keeping kids safe. So those are all kind of like the really good parts to what's happening. I mean, what Dennis has said, right, is we're going to talk about, you know, what are the concerns and what's been difficult and so on and so forth. So what I was hoping is to do some kind of experiencing things. So if you go into the chat, does everyone know how to go into the chat? You're right, you go to the bottom and you press chat. So go into the chat right now and we're going to do like if we were doing like a little Rotary lesson or something. Press in that chat how many years you've been in Rotary. So everyone just go in, type it in right now, and then let's see. $32, thanks Drexel, thanks Rick, thanks Monica. 4, that's good. Thanks Vicky, wow, look at that. Thanks Tony, good job John. Thanks Meredith. So see in a chat, it's sort of easy to get, you know, whether it's to take roll or to get an easy yes or no answer from kids and things like that. Even in the chat, we can do like little things like right now, put one word or phrase that describes Rotary to you, either a word or a phrase, and then you can just type it in the chat. And you can type more than one. So I just put service on there. I put awesome. Type a word, type a phrase. International travel, caring, friendship. Nice, fun with friends, fellowship. Thanks, Drexel, Monica. So see, when you're online, that's what teachers. Now, we don't actually use Zoom. Our district, we are a Google district, so we use Google Meets, but it's similar. And you can chat in Google Meets just like you can. Oh, McGillen, there you go. Thank you, Ken. But you see, you can have quick little word discussions and things like that. But if you were going to actually, you know, have a discussion online and actually have to put more than a sentence or a phrase, it'd be hard to do that in the chat and to see it. So there's different programs and different things that we use to be able to do that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put a program, it's called Padlet, and I'm going to put in that chat a little link. See what it says, padlet.com, R Nambu, gives you a bunch of letters. Click on that right now.
Where?
Where do we find it?
So if you click on that.
On the link?
Hold on.
Where do we find it?
Yeah, where is it?
you'll be able to go to,
In the chat, guys.
I'm trying to get to it here too.
Can't seem to be able to
Oh, I
click
see.
on it.
All of my
Okay, I
things.
see it, yeah.
So do you see where it says Rotary Online Learning? Are you guys in that Padlet now?
Yes.
What are we gonna do?
Hey, now what happened?
We're gonna Padlet.
Do you see, okay, I see Joe's in it.
Do we log in?
Okay. So here, where it says Rotary Online Learning, I asked a question there. I put there, why did you join Rotary? And what difference does it make in the community? So if you see there, for me, see, I wrote my name. You don't have to put your name in it if you don't want to. But see, I said, I joined Rotary too. And I'm going to put something in there. So what I want you to do is go ahead. You just click this, the little red plus button at the bottom. It's in the bottom right corner. Yep. Thanks, Dennis. Thanks, Joe. Thanks, Doctor. Good job, Ken. There, Forrest. Okay, Forrest told you to. You can put the plus in. Type in why you joined Rotary and what difference you think it makes.
I can't send
I'm gonna put
it.
something in there now too. Edit my post.
How do you send it?
Hit enter, I think.
You just get out of the box.
Oh, you just drag it? No.
No, you just click outside.
Oh. No, but thanks. My 9-year-old grandson just asked if he could help me. Well, I got my Me Too up there, but my name isn't attached.
Ready to be involved.
I'm just gonna.
This is a join to, okay. So do people see, so in that Padlet, you could have a discussion. People could just put, you could ask them about Shakespeare, or you could ask them about the quadratic equation, and people could write their thoughts on there and so on and so forth, and they could all do it all together. Now, as you can tell in that, for some people, it was harder than others to be able to get into that Padlet, to click on, to be able to put something on there. And so that tech that we are using so many programs and trying to be able to engage our students in them, that we're having to teach them, to take time to teach them, okay, this is what a Padlet looks like. This is how you do that, and so on and so forth. To be able to actually use this as an instructional tool, you'll probably have to do it 3 or 4 times with kids to be able to have it make sense to them. And there's probably 8 to 10 programs like this that every teacher uses, and many of them use very similar ones. We could have done something, whether it was through an answer garden, we could have done something. We could have done a quiz. People do quizzes through things like the Hoot and things like that. We use videos between Castify, Flipgrid, and things, but it's very different in how you would have a whole group discussion with 35 kids, and trying to see them, even as we look in it, in our grids and things like that is difficult. Here for us, we only have 13 people, and so we're having a discussion and things, and it'd probably be much easier because one person at a time and so on and so forth. But it's how do we do those sorts of things and really able to support our kids. So, I mean, probably the biggest thing right off the bat for us is how do you connect with kids, right? Whether they're in elementary or they're in middle school or they're in high school, so much of what they come to school is to connect to people and to connect with their teachers, right? I mean, if you think back to when you went to school, it's, oh, that teacher was so nice to me, that teacher took a liking to me, and so on and so forth. It's a lot harder to connect to students when you're online because you can't go up to the person and put your hand on their shoulder and have a little conversation. You can't pull them aside in the class and kind of talk to them about what's going on in their lives and so on and so forth. That we're in this big group here, I can't have a one-on-one conversation. Now I can do it later and I can say, you know, hey Drexel, hey Dennis, can you meet me later and we'll do a Google Meet and we'll talk. But again, it makes it a little bit more difficult, and kids don't necessarily like to think, oh, right, you're doing this in a one-on-one with me and so on and so forth. How do you engage kids, right? I'm talking during all this time and you guys are just listening like a lecture, not very engaging. So how to connect, how to engage has been a real issue that we've dealt with. How do you assess kids online? So let's say, right, we did this lecture and so on and so forth. I give you a test online, which you can, it's easy to give the kids a test online, but so how do I know if I give a test online that the kids don't go onto Google and Google all the answers? How do you know that their brother doesn't do all the answers? Because you don't watch them while they're doing it. I know my kids are all in college and their college professors are trying to do things like give them only a certain amount of time so they can't go into Google and get the answers. They're trying to, right, make them do it while they watch them do it, right? So they can try and make sure that they're, you know, someone else isn't taking the test for them, things like that. But like writing papers, doing all these things, it's difficult while it's being online to assess kids effectively. How do we really help our special ed kids in EL? ELs are English learners. That's something that the state, right, you've been reading about, that the state would like us as school districts to bring back our special ed kids and EL kids, because those are the kids who struggle while in person. And I know, you know, and Joe and any of the other people who are in, our kids who are in SPED and ELs struggle even more while they're online, because how do you help a student with a visual processing problem, you know, or an auditory problem while you're online? It has been really difficult. So we're pulling back in our severe to moderate special ed kids in the next few weeks, and are hoping to pull in more of our special ed kids kind of as time goes.
Rich, we're hearing
How do you support families who need childcare, who work and their students are then left at home? How does that happen? I mean, we have one of our special ed kids, right, who gets dropped off at childcare with 35 or 40 other kids. So he's online, but there's all these kids like running around and yelling and screaming and things like that. And it is super hard for many of our families. How do you help kids one-on-one? If we were in a math class right now, right, and Jim raised his hand because he was, you know, having trouble with completing the square or a fraction, I can't help you one-on-one. If I'm helping you one-on-one, the other 34 kids are just listening going, why am I online? And so, right, we try and have office hours, and we try and put in little tutoring things and so on and so forth. But that's an issue. It's how do we give support to kids who even, you know, might have issues going and they're too embarrassed to ask, oh, you're in Google Classroom, and they don't know how to submit their work. So it's trying to figure that out, and you know, probably one of the biggest questions that always kind of lays in the back of everyone's mind is, when are we going to bring kids back? And how could we bring kids back safely? Right? Is that in January, right? At the end of the semester that we're going to think about that? Is it going to go on longer, right? Is this flu thing in October, November, December, is that going to be it? So it'll be even more months till we bring kids back. It's all these questions are kind of there that we're trying to answer. So in kind of thinking about this, a lot of this has just gone amazing. All the kids have the tech. They're online every day. Teachers are with them every day, every period. So that's working. But, how much actually, right, are kids going to learn and understand? Is it going to be as much as they are in regular school? I think, of course not. And trying to let people know, right, our teachers, hey, you can't do a new lesson every day and just think the kids are going to learn it and just keep going. And so how do you keep scaffolding and going back, and how do you help kids and so on and so forth? But I mean, those are all these things that we're going to struggle with while we're online, because again, no one's ever done this before. I guess schools have done it, but no one kind of in holistically, like most of the state of California is teaching this way. It's been a difficult thing, and it continues every day. We learn something new that we don't know from before, and we kind of have to figure out. But I've kind of gone on for long enough because I never like to lecture for too long. So what questions do you have?
I have a question, Rich. Obviously, you have to communicate with your staff, with your teachers.
Mine not? Here, hold on.
This is Dave Alfaro.
Go ahead, Dave.
Since you have to communicate with your staff and your teachers, are the teachers showing up to their classrooms? Are they doing this from home? Are you also having Google Meets with them? Or how are you communicating with them to, I'm sure you guys, like you said earlier, you are figuring out ways to get things done better. And I don't know if that's a good sentence or not, because I wasn't an English guy, but are you being, I'm sure you're trying to be more and more efficient every day. And so how are you sharing those ideas?
So our district was really smart, and so for the first 2 weeks, both as we did professional development with them for a week, and then the first week of school, all the teachers were required to be here at school in their classroom. So we needed to know that they were prepared and that they could provide that education. So we had all of our classrooms ready for that. So for the first week, all the teachers were here. And so after that first week, we're in the 4th week right now. We've been, about 3 weeks of this. So I would say, at least what I've heard, 80 to 90% of the elementary teachers still come every day to their classrooms. In middle school, I know for me, probably about half. There's probably 10 to 12 of my 20 teachers that are here every day, and it's different people and so on and so forth. But at the high school, I think the majority of teachers are doing this from home, and they feel more comfortable and they feel safer at home and things like that. I mean, I know all schools kind of, like today is Wednesday, and so it's an early Wednesday because at 1 o'clock we have meetings and things like that. So every week, principals and staff and things like that get together, whether that's by departments or we get together in staff meetings or however that sort of is. So there's always that. For us as principals, whether our teachers are here or not, since they're in Google Meets, they have given us their kind of like passwords like kids, but we go into their classrooms. We go into probably 5 or 10 classrooms every day, so we can observe how their classes are going and what's happening and can we support them and so on and so forth. I mean, I know for me, I meet with my, whoever 10 or 12 teachers are every day, just go by their rooms, say hi, see what's, happening, talk to them and so on and so forth. So we have not as much access as if everyone was here, but I think we have plenty of access and a lot better access than we did at the end of last year. Does that help, Dave?
Yes, thank you.
Yeah. Other questions, other thoughts?
Rich, I have a thought. And hearing you and seeing you in person at your school, you are so positive and so upbeat, and everything that you do is just on a positive note.
Yeah.
That's why I honestly think your school does so well, because their leader is always upbeat, positive, caring for the kids, always looking for ways for improvement. You are just to be commended for all of that.
Well, thank you. I mean, Joe's here. I mean, Joe, all of the principals have done such a phenomenal job. We have such great principals and administrative staff and district office here in West Covina. People have just worked so hard over the summer to make this work well. And that's why, well, one, thank you, Jim. I'll accept that. That is not such a nice thing. But, parents have done a great job getting their kids ready, getting them up. But we've just told them, tell your kids that it's like a regular day, right? If they take showers in the morning and eat breakfast, have them take showers and eat breakfast like that, right? And, get some clothes on and then get to their, first period class. And what?
They dress them up. The kids dress up for school like they normally would have, and not in pajamas. We've even taken some pictures of some of the kids like that they've gone around and they dress them up and everything like if they're going to school.
That's
So it's a big help.
Yeah.
That is, they've been a big help. I mean, all the stakeholders have really worked hard to help. And you guys as community leaders, I mean, we've gotten support from everybody to make this work, because it's been, schooling always has been, right? It's a community effort, and we're making it work. So that's that positive part, Jim, but there just are those concerns that you look and go, how are we going to help our special ed and EL kids? And are the assessments, how valid are they, and what's going to happen? And are they going to, are they going to be able to keep up? And where are the kids going to be when we finally come back? And when are we going to finally come back? There's just lots of questions that we don't know. And like our school, our theme for this year is grace and patience for everyone.
We have a couple of questions.
Yep.
Vicky and then John, and then it looks like Ken has some,
Yeah.
and Rick too. So hey, we'll have to
How do we get
steal through
out the
these.
Padlet?
Go ahead,
Oh.
Vicky.
So you can click out of that and you can click back to the chat. Go ahead, Vicky.
Okay, yeah, my question, when the kids log on to be in class, the teachers see a picture of them, right?
Yep, just like we are right now.
Okay, do the kids see each other too?
They do, just like we do right now.
Gallery view.
Oh, okay, all right. That's all. I just wanted to see if they saw each other as well, because that could be a little distracting, but again, at the same time, it's bonding, and it's important to have that support.
It is, yeah. I mean, right, sometimes there's not as much, but there still is some classroom management as we do this, so yeah.
Yeah.
John?
Yeah, Rich, this is John Clenahy.
Hey, John.
I have a few employees that this has really taken over their life. So I'm going to tell you a couple of our situations.
Yeah.
They have a couple kids in elementary school, and for the first week of setting them up on Zoom, they were all saying they had to be home with them and this and that. And I told them and then on the other side of it, they were expressing to me that they had to work, they had to make an income. And so I just told them to do whatever they got to do for their kids to get them going, and then we'll figure out their hours later. But what has happened is, after the first week, The second week, let's say a sixth grader, this is one of my situations. He's at home with grandma, and the mom, the dad's a Azusa police officer. The mom works for me, and they live in Rancho Cucamonga. And the son, after the second week, was turning in his work. They had a cutoff at 2:30 every afternoon to turn in the work. And if you don't turn in the work, then you lose the day. You can't go back.
Okay.
So after the first week, the mom that works for me finds out that her son's not catching on. He's not turning in the work and this and that. So now she comes in at 5 in the morning and bolts out of here at 1:30 to get home by 2, so she could double check his work every day to get it in by 2:30.
Yeah.
And I don't know if that's standard for everybody. And then the other couple people that have kids have different situations, but this one kind of stands out. And we're discussing it here, and we're just like, why can't teachers give the cutoff instead of 2:30, like at midnight, so the parents could come home from a regular day's work, double check the kids' work, and then send in whatever by a different deadline. I don't know if that's possible. I don't know if every school district does it the same way, but it's just really disrupting on our end
No,
for the
and
parent.
yeah, and thanks for sharing. And Joe, you can chime in at any time. And so it is, and it's how do you set reasonable expectations for students, right? That work for them. And so for us at our school, what we've tried to do, and again, me as a principal, I don't get to tell teachers exactly what they have to do and can do and should do. And all of us bosses kind of know how that sort of shakes out in real life and so on and so forth. But so what we've kind of talked about in our staff is that, kids, an assignment is due at some point, and then they'll have 1 week, 7 days after that they can turn it in late if they need. So it might lose a few points and so on and so forth, right? But if it's beyond that, whatever, that 1 day, we're giving them in this online a week later to finish it. If they don't finish it in that week, then, we give them whatever, like we give them like 50% or something like that. So that, yeah, we know it takes them, at least we learned from the first 6 months, it takes them much longer, right? At least some of them, to remember how to submit or to do those things. So we try not to penalize them as much, right, on those timelines, but it's not, I have no idea, right?
But you're giving the parent an opportunity without leaving in the middle of the day of work to actually check their kids' work that night. And
Correct.
that's okay. I just didn't know if it was policy with the state of California or if every school district does things different. They just have a pretty hard situation. I think statewide or nationwide of all these states doing this, it's kind of what works for who, and a lot of school districts are making it easier than others. That's
Joe?
John, I think one of the things too is, I think when we reflect, all of us have been in a school setting. When you reflect on your very good teachers that you had when you were a student, you could have been committed to do no work in that class, and you would have learned on accident by virtue of the teacher that you had in that classroom, the way that they delivered content, the way that they engaged with you, the way that they made, whatever the material was, they brought it to life for you. And I think one of the things that we have to really move away from is, there's, and we don't do it in our district particularly, but like grading people, there are people out there that want to grade based on compliance, and we want to grade based on mastery. We want to grade based on the kids acquiring the knowledge and giving them opportunities right now. We're asking everybody in the world to be flexible right now. We need to be flexible with the kids too. We assume that the kids are these, made of plexiglass and they'll bend, but they won't break. It's a hard time for them. They're social creatures. They're not getting out and about. They're not getting to run around right now. And, to complicate matters even more, there's a smoke screen outside right now. It's a difficult time for kids. So we've been preaching, here at our site, and, you guys gave us some credit as principals. It's really the teachers in our district that are helping us be successful right now. I think as principals right now, we're kind of saying, here's the sandbox that we have for you guys to play in. What are the tools that you guys need to be successful? And we've been encouraging our teachers, it's going to be hard to teach all the things that we would normally teach. Teach the things that you're most passionate about, because that passion is going to come through in your lesson design, in your delivery. The kids are going to catch on to it. So those are the things that we're trying to do. We're not trying to work in this box of compliance right now with telling the kids you have to do this by then or that. Like, we're not trying to do those things in our district. We're trying to be flexible and work with each kid, and each kid's case is unique. But I feel for your employee and her situation. We have old headphones left over from testing. We're giving to families that have 4 kids that are on laptops at the same time.
Oh
in the
yeah.
same room trying to go through stuff.
Yeah, it's crazy, but I think flexibility and camaraderie and all those types of things to keep people positive is the way to get it done. It's like a team, So, all right, thanks for the answers, guys.
Yeah.
So first of all, Rich, it's really great to hear your present. And as you know, a few years back, we took our science education program to your school. And of course, we hit a huge change going from hands-on science to this environment where it's flying in science and adapting to what kids could actually do at home and how to keep them excited and motivated. And so I was really apprehensive about running a program this summer with about 30 kids. And these were all GATE kids, so they're really, active minds and active bodies. And so we had to do a lot of things that were flexible. We had a second person who was monitoring the chats, because the kids were chatting with each other the whole time, and sometimes back to the chats about what we're doing rather than about Minecraft or whatever else they're thinking about. But we succeeded at getting kids to write science-based stories and then to do projects, and they were really adept at things like and stuff. So I was amazed and pleasantly surprised how savvy the kids themselves were. And this were 4th graders through 8th graders. And I learned from them things about Zoom that I didn't know. And so it's very encouraging. And when you do come at it with a positive, upbeat attitude, it's good for the kids, and you can get them to talk with their parents and get them, sometimes the parents will put their face in the Zoom box, and you can meet them and encourage them to keep going. So it's really good to hear. Now, managing your whole school population in this way and hearing that you get over 90-some% attendance, that's a real accomplishment. Congratulations.
Yeah, and thank you. And Rick, you are such a good teacher. That's heartening to us to be able to know, right, that your kids were able to write and to do those sorts of things. And yeah, once everything, right, all the dust settles and everything, right, we can talk about all that. As we do, we want to find the best ways to be able to help the students be able to critically think online, right, and to be able to write to us and all those sorts of things. And so we keep going.
We use the Zoom thing by getting kids to all look one direction at the same time and then bring their faces sharply together. Because the other thing about this environment is they're looking at themselves.
Yeah.
It's not just looking at everybody else. So they have a natural fascination with being there. And it's pretty interesting to see how it can all work together.
Other thoughts, other questions?
Next.
Ken.
Okay, Rich, I got several numbers questions for you. I just want to understand this better. Number one, what's the percentage of your student population that has access to online or the internet?
Oh.
Secondly, the number you gave us as to the participation in your courses, like was over 90 or 95%, which is absolutely fantastic. And last question, I don't understand what is a quadrahydroglyphic equation? Because that has nothing to do
Quadratic?
with
Oh,
my branch of engineering. So
we hope and think that, right, 99 to 100% of our students have access to the internet. So if they don't, like there was a family today that most families now have access to internet somehow. The problem is, like what Joe says, is when they have a family of 3 or 4 kids, it's, do they have enough bandwidth for all 3 kids to be online, right? Because what we're doing right now takes more bandwidth, right, than listening to Spotify or something like that, right? Or just to watch Netflix. And so that's been the issue, that they have internet, or maybe it's spotty or something. I know Spectrum has kind of had some issues and things like that. So yeah, we've been trying to provide kids hotspots and so on and so forth. But yeah, really truthfully, I mean, we feel like, you know, pretty darn close to 100% of our kids have that internet or online capacity. And then it's just, you know, getting them there every day, every period. And there'll be some times when, you know, kids will be out for a period, something happens, they're you know, their online something doesn't work or something, whatever. And so we'll see, oh, look, they missed the 6th period, but then you call them and they go, oh yeah, right, my Google thing wasn't working, or so on and so forth. And, but it's really been, that's what it's been, such an amazingly pleasant surprise that so many of our kids are there. I mean, I think 2 days ago, we only had 3 kids who missed the whole day. And I think today we had 5 kids who missed all day. And so you go, that's amazing. And our attendance is better now than it was before, which
these numbers,
I've ever thought.
These numbers are so much higher than other numbers I've seen from across the country.
Well, yeah, because if you look at it,
it's just fantastic.
It is. But if you look at them, because in the newspaper you always hear like LAUSD. LAUSD is a whole nother, you know, I was in LA. So I mean, yes, it's just good news. We're doing a good job.
Good news.
Yeah.
Thank you.
You know,
Well done.
I'm sorry, but I have to jump in, and I do want to say that the principals and the teachers, you know, like Rich explained, they were given, we pushed back our start date from the 13th to the 17th to give the teachers a full week for professional development, and then they took the first full week and stayed in class. But all the changes that they have gone through, and they've marveled it just beautifully. This is despite sudden changes that we get from the county health department. You know, we were planning real graduations, no, you can't do that. And when we were planning an alternative, no, you can't do that. So all of these changes that they have to go through, you know, Rich is talking about the special ed students that we're hoping to bring back. There's still a lot of speculation, yes, no parameters that have to be met. And they're all ready to go and ready to go in compliance. And that says a lot about our principals and about our teachers. I'm sorry, I had to boast about that one because they make it seem so easy, you know, with everything that they do. And it's not an easy chore.
Good for you, Monica. That was well said.
I had to say that, sorry.
And right, I know, you know, a lot of you, right, people are ex-athletes and musicians and things. And so you think about things like PE and electives. I mean, right? How do you do PE when, well, not even with all this smoke, but right, you know, on like a regular day, how do we get them out to run or to, you know, exercise? And that's, you know, everyone knows that's such a key component to being healthy, that we don't want the kids staying, and they want to, right, stay online, and oh, after they're online for 6 hours at school, they're going to go play Fortnite or go play League of Legends or whatever it is, right, they want to do, Minecraft, and you go, no, we get them out, you know, 1:45, 12:15 on Wednesdays, because we want them to go outside and ride their bikes or go for walks or go for runs or go do something that is much more difficult now. And like electives, right? We have choir, we have band, we have art. How do you do choir like this? I mean, my choir teacher and Joe has an amazing choir and band teacher. It is so hard to do band and choir and things like that like this. how do you teach them? How do you help them? How do you listen to each of them one-on-one? And you know, even with art, it's you know, we haven't given them like iPads, so they're not doing this art digitally, right? How do they do all these art and science projects and things like that at home? So, you know, Ken, we are overjoyed that it's working right now, and in this first month it's been awesome, but we still think, you know, how do we still do education the way we want to? And you know, as you guys think about it, you guys can help us, because we don't have all these answers, and we're still searching.
Well, Rich, I suggest that you have the kids use Strava, and
There you go.
they can record their activity, and you can see a map of what they did.
We've been trying to get them to, you know, they've been running in place in their rooms, and they're videoing, and our band person, right, has them, you know, hey, video yourself and then send it, and then he's, you know, like listening and trying to give feedback and things like that. But it's just crazy how different everything is. So, and people are just, like Joe said, our staffs have just done a yeoman's job. They've been creative, and they're working so hard, and it's been intense for them. I mean, it's been intense for us, but it's even harder on them. So
I think if there's one good thing that'll come out of this, and you've kind of alluded to it, is that right now you guys, unfortunately, and the students are having to use kind of a basket full of software. You have to use this one for this application, and that one for that application. And so everybody kind of has to get with each one and figure it out, and also figure out how to use them combined. And that's difficult. And I'm sure because of this, somebody's going to put a basket full together in one package. They automatically interfaces with each other, kind of like Microsoft Office, you know, so that you'd have these various elements that you can use all together. And that'll help you quite a bit, I would think.
well, Google is saying and hoping that they're going to do that. So we're waiting on that. So right, they're the big whale in all this. So we're sure hoping as soon as possible they do what they're saying that they're going to do.
As you've said, it's not easy. It's not easy.
This hasn't been easy on anyone, right? As John was saying, there's so many stories on how hard this has been on families, and you know, how do we help them? And so, you know, as Joe was saying, being flexible and giving grace and patience to all the parents, and then giving them to the kids, and hopefully they will give them back to us, right? When they're going, oh my gosh, you know, what about this? And you know, when grades come out, to being able to go, we were trying to teach that kids think they submit their work, but they have to press like a button a couple times in order to submit it and things like that. And so often they don't press both. And so they think they've turned it in, and they tell their parent, oh, they've turned it in, but they don't. And so the teacher can't see that. And so they're just kind of going, well, they don't get credit for it. And then you tell the parent, okay, go to the Google Classroom, look in their assignments and see if they've submitted it. And then they go, oh, they didn't submit those 4 assignments. That's why they're not doing well. And you go, hey, just submit it. We'll figure it out. And